Is the housing market gonna crash? So I've been getting blown up in my DMs quite a bit. People are noticing that the housing market is starting to soften a little bit. Properties are taking longer to sell than they've been taking in the last few months. Are these signs of a potential turnaround? Do extra days on market mean that we're heading towards disaster in the housing market? Stay tuned to the end of the video to get my personal take on whether or not we're headed for a turn in the real estate market. For any of you that have been watching my journey, you'll know that I've been in real estate since 2002. And that means that I rode a very crazy roller coaster in this business. I rode the ride right up from 2002 up until 2008 when we crashed. And then I rode that all the way up from 2010 up and up and up and up to where we are right now. And that might bring you to the following question. Are we headed for another crash? Well, first and foremost, guys, what I want you to understand is the kind of activity we're seeing on the housing market right now is extremely hot still. Just because a house is sitting on the market for 30 days as opposed to 13 days doesn't mean we're headed towards a market turn. In fact, average days on market in a pretty decent housing market are like 90 days, right? So if normal market conditions are a house will sit on the market for about 90 days before it closes, and we're still seeing houses close within 30 days, we are still in what is considered an extremely hot retail housing market. So I don't necessarily think that we can make a sweeping generalization to say that the housing market is turning or that the housing market is softening. Yes, things are getting a little softer or a little bit cooler from where they were in overheat. When the market is overheating, essentially what that means is there's just no inventory, there's all the buyers waiting there, and prices are getting bid up and things are getting really nutty. That leads to instability. Now, unstable markets can have problems, right? If something is unstable, it can absolutely crash. We don't want instability in the housing market. We want things to level out. This is something that's definitely necessary to keep the housing market in a healthy place. I also want to talk about supply and demand. Typical housing market supply and demand is dictated by buyers and sellers, right? Buyers are homeowners or potential homeowners. They're entering the space that are getting a retail mortgage, that are there because interest rates are low. They're there because they can afford the price of the house. Conditions have to be ripe. Interest rates have to be perfect. There's so many conditions that need to be great for there to be an influx of buyers into the retail market. Instead, what we're seeing is there is those buyers, but then there's this big group of buyers that don't have natural human emotions. The buyers that are here, if the interest rate goes up a little bit or something happens in the economy and they lose a job, they will leave, especially if they start to feel that there could be something coming around the corner that might mean that their house might be worth less or they might not be able to make their mortgage payment, so they exit the market. And that means demand reduces, and when demand reduces, pricing starts to decrease, and you start to see a turn in the real estate market. That's normally what we've been seeing in our cyclical market year after year after year leading up until now. But what we've been seeing since 2010 is just steady increases, right? Now we're talking about an artificial demand situation. We have Silicon Valley, iBuyers, institutional buyers, Wall Street hedge funds, all entering into the retail space, and they're buying up properties at a pace that even the natural home buyer can't keep up with. And that is creating an artificial demand. That artificial demand is absorbing so much of the inventory that's on the market right now that the people that can afford to buy are getting priced out. They're getting bid out. And that is turning into a problem for them. I don't necessarily see that there's going to be a housing correction or a housing crash. What we need to do is really pay attention to what Wall Street is doing, to what the institutional buyers are doing, because once that demand starts to dry up, we'll return back to natural market cycles. What does that mean for us in our business and as wholesalers? How can we plan for the future? I understand when we're making investments into our businesses and we want to understand, where should I put marketing dollars? Should I build my disposition side out? Should I build out more infrastructure for fixing and flipping? Should I even getting involved in fix and flips? Because what if the market turns when I'm in the middle of 5 projects? All of these are great concerns to have. What I would say is pay attention to the institutional money. Wherever the institutions are is where you know billions of dollars have been spent in market research to understand exactly what the return could possibly be. I can't tell you that I'm any smarter than the think tanks that Wall Street hedge funds are employing to predict the behavior of the housing market. And what they're predicting is that we're going to have steady increases. And the reason for that is inflation. If you've been waiting and you got all the way to this point, my prediction for a housing crash in 2022 is absolutely not. Get out there, make your purchases, continue to do what you're gonna do. If you're gonna get involved in fix and flips, I would say go all in. I'm going all in. Well, if we're making a mistake, I'll be at the food bank with you. But I don't think that's what's gonna happen. I think what we're gonna see is just an increase in housing prices. I think inventory is gonna continue to get absorbed by hedge funds and Wall Street dollars, as well as the iBuyers, and we are still headed for a wild ride into 2022. What I think we need to pay attention to is when they stop buying. We've seen that Zillow has turned off buying recently, and I think that the reason that Zillow turned off buying was just because they needed to figure out what they were going to do with the inventory that they've been purchasing over the last 12 months. You see, Zillow has just entered into this space of buying houses, and so now they've got to actually work on the inventory that they bought. Same thing happened with Open Door, and OfferPad did the same thing. It's a natural thing when an iBuyer gets into the space. They've got to figure out what to do with the inventory that they've been absorbing. But that doesn't mean that the other iBuyers have stopped. In fact, there are new iBuyers that have entered the space. I think 72 Sold is a new one as well. Sunday is another company that is buying more distressed property, which is a little bit different from what Open Door and OfferPad and Zillow have been doing. So we're seeing continuous influx of these massive companies coming into the space, buying up American homes and taking that inventory off the space and turning that inventory into rental. I think, guys, for 2022, 2023, we're gonna see still an increase in housing prices. I think rents are gonna continue to go through the roof. So if you are a buy and hold investor, if you are a multifamily investor, this is a good time for you. Your assets will all be worth a lot more money at the end of the year. They're gonna be worth a lot more money at the end of 2023. If you are waiting for a market correction to get into the business, I gotta tell you, now is not the time to be waiting, okay? Don't wait to get into the business. When I got into the business, it was at the bottom of the market, right? I got in probably at the worst time. A lot of people were telling me it was the worst time to get into real estate. And that's when I got into the Phoenix market. There's no better time to get involved than now. Don't wait for what other people are saying is a good time. The folks that are telling you to wait, they're gonna be waiting all their lives. They wait for everything. They're constantly waiting. They're constantly just sitting on the sidelines. That's not what you're trying to accomplish, right? You need to get out there. You wanna take action. You're trying to control your financial destiny. The only way to do that is by taking a step. All right, so that's my prediction, guys, for 2022, 2023. I think it's all great. We're gonna be doing amazing. Until next time, guys, do me a favor, click the subscribe button and also give me a like because I spent some time making this video and I deserve it. Bye.